The Mob Psycho Season 3 experience. Now I've been waiting to talk about this show for a very long time, seeing as it is personally one of my top 10 favorite anime of all time. No, really, I'm dead ass. It's that good. I feel like besides Full Metal Alchemist, Mob Psycho 100 is the only anime I've experienced where I love the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the ending of the story as a complete package. It all just feels like one banger ass sandwich. You're like, damn, I did not expect this shit to bust like this. Golly. I have plenty of favorite shows where I love the beginning and hate the ending. Or I love the ending, but I think it's kinda tasteless in the middle. And then there are shows that are like super wishy-washy on whether or not they wanna be good or not. Like, I still don't know if I like you or not. Do you even deserve that hype?
What is you looking at, my nigga?
The biggest criticism I always hear regarding Mob Psycho is its unique art style that turns people off from the show.
For fuck's sake. That's disgusting. What is that? What am I looking at?
Especially because how goofy the literal main character looks all the time.
These niggas don't got enough. Boy, he got that shit on though.
Which is weird because you would think you wouldn't want every show to look like a copy and paste generic isekai of themselves. But hey, that's just me. I kinda like my shows to look different from one another. I actually find it hilarious that the creator of the already mega popular series like One Punch Man could spin the block a second time and produce a show that I would say surpasses its big brother in nearly every statistical category. Satisfying character resolutions for every major character, actually funny visual comedy, and just straight up hilarious interactions from the characters themselves.
Just leave everything to me. If I exorcise the spirit, I'm sure Hanako's face will return to normal too.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
I mean, you could tell the voice acting cast from the Japanese and English actors and actresses were just having a good ass time while recording because the energy is shown in every single character performance. I mean, I've never heard mob in Spanish before, but let's see what they cooking with.
Oye tú, es la primera vez que esto me sucede. ¿Puedes sentirla? ¿Ah? ¿Sientes mi hostilidad?
It's alright, like...
It's rare to find a show where every single character is likable, and if they aren't likable when you first meet them, then they'll eventually have a character arc so compelling you can't help but love them after. I mean, there's at least 3 people I can say about that in this show alone. There aren't any stupid, corny anime tropes that ruin the storytelling. This show is a rare gem, and where I can say that the show can relate to so many demographics to someone of any age. Kids, teenagers, young adults, middle-aged adults. There are very few shows that give off a facade of lighthearted, dumb action initially.
Fight back, nigga! Fight back!
And end up having so many impactful emotional moments that'll have you contemplating your own existence. As we go into 2023 and more teenagers and kids are being born and raised in this matrix of a life we live in, I mean, the media is not going away. It's just gonna keep growing. And the more the age of media grows, the more I feel people from the previous generations should push the media that affected them positively to the next generation, so we don't just have a bunch of psychopathic zombies walking around hitting the gritty. Mob Psycho 100 is the perfect teen action comedy recommendation. It's the show My Hero Academia wishes it could keep all of its moving pieces together to be like, yeah, I'm coming for your ass next. You're not safe. Shonen heads will think the show is all about fighting and becoming super powerful, when really this world and story about psychics and telepaths and spirits is just one big allegory for dealing with mental health, dealing with anxiety, dealing with the repercussions of shutting off your emotions and how unhealthy that is. Something that I have a personal connection with. God damn, this show hits. God damn! I just had to take a second. Jesus. That's the end of my TED Talk. Getting back into the show has been so gratifying for me. I completely forgot this show was about the most powerful 14-year-old outside of Yusuke Urameshi. But before I talk about the characters themselves, or even the show itself, we have to talk about the behind the scenes drama. Oh, brother! So unless you live under a pineapple under the sea, you would know that Mob's English voice is sounding a little deeper.
I'm terribly sorry that my little brother hurt you. He lost his temper, that's all. Please look past this and be friends with him.
It's okay now. I figured it out. Excuse me.
It's like the show only takes place in like a year. Puberty could not have hit him that hard. You would think that would be a creative choice since Mob is a teenager going through puberty, right? Yeah, well, I wish that was the reason he sounds different. Now I personally watch this show religiously in English because I feel like the cast behind the English dub is actually really good.
Huh. You really think people can be happy just by laughing? Get real.
Who might this be?
We found him sleeping on a park bench under some newspapers.
How sad, a victim of the recession!
I do like the Japanese voice actors, but that's besides the point. Kyle McCarley, the English voice actor for Shigeo, for seasons 1 and 2, basically got the boot by Crunchyroll, so he couldn't reprise his role as Mob for season 3, because Crunchyroll didn't want to have a simple meeting with him so he could come back to the show on a SAG-AFTRA union contract. Now I know this probably sounds like a whole lot of nothing to y'all, so let me explain. Basically, SAG-AFTRA is a union that protects voice actors and actresses, basically by giving them a collective bargaining power chip, meaning that instead of negotiating employment one-on-one against a mega company like Crunchyroll, the union negotiates baseline minimums for everyone all at once. Now the crazy thing about this for me is Crunchyroll was actually willing to pay him the same amount he always makes for this role. They just didn't want it under a union contract, which is kinda sus. Hello, sussy?
I don't know, man.
Now if you actually want to hear more about this from the man himself, I will link the video he made talking about the controversy in the description. And it's honestly so upsetting for me to see Crunchyroll bigwigs so up their own ass against unionization that they're throwing away such a major talented actor over something so simple. Bro literally just wanted to have a conversation about it, and they couldn't even bless him with that? What are we doing? The voice actor that stepped in Kyle's place did a pretty solid job for Shigeo, I'm not gonna lie. So it's not like the show went to shit because of this change or anything. But since this is like my penultimate Mob Psycho video, I want everybody's skeletons to be out the closet. I truly hope this doesn't mess with any future roles that Kyle tries to pick up in the future, since he's actually a really talented voice actor and deserves more leading roles like his portrayal of Shigeo Kageyama. And with that, let's talk about the characters. At least the ones I feel play the most vital role throughout the entire series. Starting with the man himself, Reigen Arataka.
Because I'll be there for him. With open arms, and open legs, and an open mouth.
For me, Reigen feels like the Walter White to Mob's Jesse Pinkman. But he's actually more like Jimmy McGill in anime form. Like deadass, I see nobody else.
What'd you say to Babyface, huh? Did you say anything stupid? By anything stupid, I mean anything at all. Look at you, mouth open, vocal cords of Twitter. We'll talk about it later. Right now, you out. 10 minutes ago. Go on. There are laws, detective. Have your kindergarten teacher read them to you, right? Go grab a juice box, have a nap. Go on.
Would you happen to be this boy's guardian, sir?
Oh, I get it.
It's 5 million yen to replace this.
You mean that huge piece of junk? No way it's worth that.
It's hard talking about Reagan because we all know this. Everybody loves Reagan. He is literally what you get when you put all of your stats on charisma in a video game and forget about everything else.
No matter what kind of special powers you may have, you're still only human. No more and no less. It's the same for everybody. But somehow you've all forgotten that. You're so addicted to your special powers you've developed tunnel vision. You want world domination, but you haven't seen the world. No one's gonna follow you knowing.
Reagan was born with something more powerful than psychic abilities, and that's being able to talk his way out of any situation. This man has the complete package of Riz, and he don't even be using it for women. He just naturally has it unlocked. He's just him. Or sometimes he just does epic shit like this.
Do you have any idea how fast I am? I'm fast as fuck, boy!
The man is literally a con artist with a heart of gold. Don't you think it's weird seeing as how many people are terrorized by spirits all over the town? You would think that Reagan's services would be booming, but his rates are actually really cheap when you look at it. So anybody could literally require the services of the strongest 14-year-old in the world. He's actually a really good guy. This man even accepted seeds as payment for his services because a farmer that needed his help didn't have any money to give him. That's why when you look at it from Shigeo's perspective, why he always says,
I've known that my master is genuinely a good guy.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.
You can see from Shigeo's POV that no matter what anybody says about Reagan, it will never matter, because even if the reason he took Mob under his wing was for selfish reasons at first, Mob always knew what type of man he was at his core. Notice how in every single climax of the show, Mob and Reagan's relationship is the heart and soul of every confrontation. Yeah, it was luck that Mob showed up on Reagan's doorstep at the right place at the right time for him, but it wasn't luck or coincidence that made him stick around. No matter how small the action is, its outcome can truly be what changes a person. To a lot of people, Reagan's initial perception is, so he's human garbage for taking advantage of this little kid. He's trash, he's a fraud, he's a
big fat phony.
He was using a kid for his work that he couldn't do on his own because he doesn't have the natural talent for him like he does. He pays him that good McDonald's minimum wage for a job he's overqualified for.
Oh, this is for you. It's your payment for the last job. Broccoli seeds.
Now I'm not even getting money.
But as you go through the story, you realize there are actual layers to his character. This man is fearless against any odds that would dead ass kill any normal guy. He shows that he genuinely cares about Shigeo through his actions, not just his powers, which if you didn't believe it before it was made 100% clear this season, he would literally go anywhere for him. In season 1, this man walks into the hideout of the bad guys alone and single-handedly uses charisma to get everybody out of that situation. They would have died if he didn't show up. I 100% believe that.
We're being held here against our will! Please, step aside and let us go!
Why do you have them trapped in here?
Well,
I can't hear you.
It's top secret, so,
Oh, really? Come on, guys. That's a crime and you know it.
We're very sorry, sir!
You're amazing, Master. Did he really manage to fool them?
In Breaking Bad, just like Walter ends up depending on Jesse more than he depended on him, it's the same way for Mob and Reagan. Reagan's a 28-year-old struggling business owner that has no friends outside of this middle school student, and it is so sad. Like, look at him. Somebody be his friend. Season 2 gave us an arc that completely deconstructed Reigen as a man, a psychic, and a teacher. And it was one of the most compelling things in this entire show. Even when the show can be goofy as fuck sometimes. One thing I did think was weird though that I really want answers to. So in the finale, Reigen tells Mob his big secret.
I have no powers of any kind! And I never did!
What?
I lied.
Oh.
It was all a lie.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the same reaction. I thought he already knew that. I mean, I guess he never outright said it, and maybe Mob beat it around the bush to make the point that it didn't really matter if he had powers or not, because despite him being a
great big phony,
he still respected and admired Reigen. He didn't really need him to say it, but it strengthens their bond that he felt comfortable enough to say it. My take is that right there and then, he said that to Mob, not Shigeo, since Mob was the one who didn't really believe Reigen actually cared about them in the first place. Did I just answer my own question for myself?
Yes, I did that.
And in the final season, Reigen flexes every ounce of his character development by not pushing Mob away again when he wants to actually take initiative on his own and do things outside of him. Reigen accepts his emotional growth and maturity and isn't scared anymore to lose to Robin to his half-assed Batman. There is a reason why he's one of the most beloved anime characters of all time. This man walked into enemy territory, accidentally convinced everyone that he was the boss, and had almost everyone there quit their Cartoon Network ass villain job and go be productive members of society. He is him. How do you grow up with an unsupportive family just to become the father figure to at least 10 kids? When you get over the fact that he's a con artist, the man is actually an incredible actor, a life advice coach, a therapist, a masseuse, a graphic designer, and an advertising genius. And it's just hilarious that he chose to be a con artist when he could be making a good living off of all of the stuff that he's actually talented at. Chris Neosi is hilarious in the English portrayal of Reigen. This man genuinely had me rolling in most scenes, even when it wasn't even meant to be funny.
Psycho steroid! I send psychic signals to my muscles and adjust them for maximum.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Go back to sleep.
Personally, I wouldn't take that level of disrespect.
Such a W character. Teruki Hanazawa, the actual best character in the show.
Sin City was a Mavia. Angels like you.
Most people will tell you that the best character in the show is either Reigen or Mob or Dimple. No. The correct answer is Teru. All my homies love Teru. If he was in any other show, he would be the cool main protagonist that wins every fight, gets all the hoes, and looks saucy while doing it. But instead, he got stuck in somebody else's story and had to accept the fact that he will always be underrated. Like, why do y'all keep doing this to my man? Can you at least show him doing cool stuff without his dick flopping around?
I'd be crying if I look like that too, bro. That's fucked up what they be doing to y'all.
In season 1, he starts off as a generic dickhead rival character for Shigeo to overcome.
After all, I'm the main character in this world.
Are you sure about that?
And despite how many times he actually gets his ass whooped,
Fight back, man! Fight back, man! Fight back!
Stop! He's already dead.
he still is a psychic prodigy, but he just always gets mismatched opponents, so he just constantly keeps getting his shit tossed. It's not fair. He can learn multiple techniques just by seeing them used once, in contrast to Mob, who just uses sheer willpower. Teru goes from a narcissistic, blonde-haired Sasuke-ass build head ass to a chill best buddy Naruto build. I mean, he even got the hair. He is the perfect balance between Mob, who for the majority of the series doesn't stand up for himself, and anyone who uses their powers to do whatever they want. He learns that lesson and becomes a better person through it. Mob never wanted to be a superhero with his powers by fighting the ops who did bad stuff in the world. He just wanted to live a regular life, but so happened to have godlike powers. But I feel like Taruki could actually be that superhero in the world. If Mob is him, Taruki is also him, but not really. Oh yeah, his fight against Shimazaki is fucking wrong!
Raise don't stand my back. Price don't stand my back. Yo, everybody stand my back.
Teru gets an entire episode dedicated to him in the final season, where all of his development gets put to the test, and instead of treating the city they're fighting in like a battlefield, he actually uses all of his power to protect the people that can't protect themselves. And I fucking love that. I love seeing people with power save other people that can't save themselves. I'm a sucker for heroes being heroes. Most times out of not we see in superhero media nowadays, they're always just fighting in a big empty city, not caring about the regular Joe Schmo casualties, the people that just be minding their own business. Then boom, we got Dr. Octopus looking for Spider-Man. Like, bro, I'm trying to have my coffee. But us as the viewer is always supposed to be like, superhero fight go bad. I love that his final moment in the show is being an actual superhero, like he always thought that he was. It's just sad that the creator obviously had a hard time writing him into the story. Like, how big is this town actually? Cause has anyone noticed that Teru is always just running into characters?
Hey, you there. Hey there, friend. What's with the sighing? You in some kind of trouble again? Kageyama?
Leave me the fuck alone!
In season 3, he's always just randomly running into people, and that's like how he always just gets involved into the story. The first or second time is coincidence. The third or fourth time, I'm calling cap. But I do have questions. What's up with this?
Hey, here we go. 5,000 yen on the dot and has a monkey design. All right, let's go with that.
That's gotta be racist. There's no way.
So why the monkey one, Teru? I don't know about that. You're going down a slide in my favorite characters list. This kind of felt racially motivated. What, you trying to say that Mob is the coolest monkey in the jungle without him even being black? That kind of feels like super racism.
Oh yeah, it looks great on you. You're the height of fashion, Kageyama.
Oh nah, who the fuck wrote this in? One. What's good, bro? Something you want to talk about with the people? Ritsu Kageyama. Shigeo's little brother is an interesting case for me regarding the 5 main leads I feel the show revolves around, because he probably has the least I have to say about. In a show that is literally just a mental health training arc for every single character, the author explicitly makes it clear that in every section of the story, be humble or get humbled.
Be humble. Sit down. Be humble.
Ritsu being insecure about how powerful Shigeo is wasn't as compelling to me compared to everyone else's arcs in the show, and then he kinda just doesn't really do much for the rest of the series. But I did really like it when the show went into why Shigeo started to suppress his emotions in the first place, because it all revolved around Ritsu. I mean, imagine hurting your little brother so bad he's knocked out bleeding on the ground and you have no clue what happened. Yeah, I wouldn't have much to laugh about anymore either. The shit was clearly traumatic for both of them, so the scene of him overcoming his trauma and being there for his brother when he needed him the most, the same way he was there for him in season 1 in that little alleyway, was actually beautiful storytelling. Throughout the entire show, Shigeo's emotions meter was always portrayed as an outburst, and it's usually always associated when he's angry. But in the scene where Ritsu goes 100%, it's him letting go of all his trauma and fear that he had of Shigeo and Mob, and accepting them together as one person, because they are. Shigeo and Ritsu both held their feelings in, so they didn't have to talk about the accident that scarred both of them, and we finally get an actual satisfying conclusion on how to handle their respective traumas.
Y'all nigga, that shit beautiful than a motherfucking
Dimple. What the author decided to do with Dimple this season was half beautifully well done and half... I mean, who would have guessed that a one-off villain that Mob bodies in season 1 would stick around as an actual main character in the show? Who would have thought?
Not me.
And not even just stick around and just be there. He actually has a compelling and complete character arc as well. Every single person in this show that is of relevance has a completed character arc. Dimple mostly stayed the same person throughout the entire series, just a little semi-evil little booger ghost that posed no threat to the main cast because everyone is so overpowered. But that all cultivates into an arc that completely makes you see him in a new light. He wanted godhood. He wants the same power that Shigeo holds every day, but doesn't even understand or knows why he wants it. He just likes the idea of it, really.
What would you do as a god exactly?
That's an interesting question. All I know is I'd probably have powers beyond my wildest imagination. I've effectively become a god, just like I always wanted. And it's no fun at all.
Oh, for real? On God? Just like that.
And I know we're supposed to be making fun of him for that fact, because Dimple's hypocrisy is kinda wild. Why would you want to be the god of subjects who don't even have their own free will? You might as well be the god of a bunch of zombies. This makes no sense. And I thought I was going crazy, cause was Dimple always this delusional? Or was he just too busy huffing on that sweet, sweet spirit energy to understand that he wasn't even making sense? None of what happened in the final season was an out of the blue character shift for him, really. I personally just think I find Dimple way more interesting as a friend than he is as an antagonist. Because as an antagonist, he's sort of just like, nah, for my ultimate plan to take over the world. And Mob is just like, bro, can you chill? Just like, this ain't even you, bro. Come on, let's go home. So even though he was a semi-boring antagonist, I'm actually glad that the author explored more of his character and gave him closure. He got the power he wanted throughout the entire series and ended up throwing it all away just to protect the kid that showed him that having that power isn't really all that special. Shigeo's resolution for trying to beat Dimple wasn't to,
if you say hit him really hard, I swear to God.
He was barely even talking no jutsu, really. He really just told Dimple, hey yo, cut it out, bro. You're not even from the streets anymore. Why are you doing all this?
This guy's a gangster? His real name's Clarence.
Dimple beating up the manifestation of his own greed, being the divine tree itself, is actually dope storytelling. And of course, Studio Bones got that sauce with the pen. Dimple gained the same amount of powers as Mob, only to have more respect for him in the end. He's just like, damn bro, you're dead ass him all the time. This is how it feels. Him Jones,
I'm him Duncan. I will beat a nigga ass and stomp him in my Timberlands. I've been him, I'ma always be him. I'ma stay him, I'm not them, you understand me?
Shigeo Kageyama. Now I could legit be here
all day, nigga.
Mob is one of the most well-written protagonists in the anime. Millions of people on the internet love breaking down his psyche and his values. A 14-year-old middle school boy who has all the cosmic powers in the world but couldn't really care less about it. Shit, in the first episode of the final season, Mob's personal problems is what the author wants you to give a damn about in the first place. It's funny that in a show that can get so bombastic and electric and empathetic, that Shigeo trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life once he leaves high school while being the most powerful being on the planet. It's like the author just takes the, oh, he's just like me for real joke and flips it on its ass, actually giving the viewer a tangible, relatable attachment to the overpowered ass main character trope. I am getting tired though of mangaka authors using high school settings and middle school settings for the baselines of their shonen series. Yeah, I understand your main demographic is that, but somebody has to go out the box and give me more anime set with college students and young adults, because there are some very slim pickings in that field. Please, I'm taking recommendations. Even a show like Mob Psycho isn't free from the school festival art curse.
Everybody gets one.
Shigeo has been an amazing character to follow from the start, and he only gets better as the seasons go. He goes through like 15 different emotional dramas in season 2 alone. My favorite is that moment in season 2 when he picks up all of the girl's shredded book that she was writing a story in.
I do have feelings. When I listen, they remind me what's important in my heart. A psychic.
And at that moment, I truly felt like Mob Psycho 100 was not only one of my favorite anime of all time, but Shigeo Kageyama was my top 3 favorite main protagonists of all time. I've been saying that shit a lot this video, goddamn. I actually think you're sick in the head if you don't want to see this kid win. Dimple tells him that he could have had everything he wanted if he just became a god. He's like, nah bro, I'm trying to be a god at these weights, come spot me. I love that Mob's little 100% meter isn't just a rage meter, but something that symbolizes all of his emotions. Confidence, empathy, sadness, malice. He's an emotionally repressed child that wants to develop more of himself because having godlike powers never made him feel that special. He wants better social skills, better body, better initiative. I fucking love that the Body Improvement Club,
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour.
the literal subversions of normal bodybuilding tropes in both anime and real life, genuinely encourage Mob and support his goals unconditionally, without making fun of him at all.
This is great. Everything about this says exactly what I am and who I am as a person. It's my defining trait.
They're just some cool ass bros. I want them to be my friends. Body Improvement Club should be your peak standards for supportive friend groups. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, let's talk about...
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
So I already talked about the dimple stuff, but what I really wanted to talk about is the last 4 episodes of the season, because that's when shit really starts to pop off. After 3 seasons, we are finally exploring Mob actually going after Tsubome, his childhood crush. He has spent so much time idolizing her that when he's asked straight up,
"What is it you like about her?"
this man has to think about it for a second. She was deadass the first person on Shigeo's self-improvement journey, basically, that actually wanted to accept him for himself and not just his powers. When they were kids, she got bored of seeing his powers and moved on to people more well-rounded and charismatic as they grew up, which made Shigeo realize that no matter how powerful and special he actually was, his powers shouldn't be what defined him. Realizing that just because he's good at something, it doesn't mean that that is what he has to do with his life. For him, psychic powers are just a skill, like knife tricks. Like, look at that. This is raw. Tsubome taught Mob that being a better person is more important than being a special person. I have literal godlike abilities, but what's the point if I can't even get one girl I had a crush on to notice me? Every time Tsubome actually recognizes Mob's existence in the show, it's when he's being himself, or being helpful, or being ambitious. Watching Mob awkwardly bumble through a phone conversation with her felt like watching your little bro grow up. This is literally the only way they could have ended the show. No big evil villain, just Mob finally getting the girl he always...
I'm ghost riding the whip. Crazy taxi.
Well, fuck. I actually kinda like that Tsubome is barely even a character, and yet she's the entire focal point for Mob's character development. Basically just being a glorified plot device, if anything. But one you can't really be mad at. God damn, teenagers really do anything for some coochie, huh? Mass murders and killing your friends?
Oh, say less.
We have to stay focused, my brothers. I mean, I know it wasn't Shigeo doing it, and it was Mob doing it, the literal embodiment of his repressed emotions. but still. Saboma is literally the entire catalyst for the final arc of the show, and we barely know anything about her. Since we mostly see her from the perspective of Mob's thirsty ass, she's barely even a person to the viewer. She's like an idol, a goal, but you know, in a healthy way, since Mob wants to be a better person because of her and not for her. And if he could bag her along the way, you know, that's cool too. I really appreciate that Shigeo is never written to be an incel that'll pay $70K to a Twitch streamer just so she can say his name one time. And every single episode in the final arc of the show felt like they were animated by a dude on literal crack. If someone told me that the final boss of the show would be Mob himself, I'd go, yeah, that sounds perfect, honestly. Do that right now. How the hell does a simple love confession turn into literal world-ending apocalyptic? Everyone that Mob has met throughout the course of the show has to stop his emotionally unstable ass from destroying the entire city. They even got the Claw Boss back in action. This man had a cool ass entrance and everything. Got him wanting to be a dad again instead of a deadbeat. This man said, you know what, son? Let's go get the milk together. Mob Psycho 100 delivers a final season that truly feels like a final season for everyone involved. Dimple wanted to be a god, check. And I know that some people have a problem with them bringing him back into the story, but I don't really have that much of a problem with it because he didn't really add much to the ending besides letting Reagan hold Mob back. So it's like, I just wish after they had more time to explain it, because it kind of was honestly just like, oh shit, Dimple's back? Okay. The photographer girl wanted to see Mob as the leader of the weird cult, check. The girl from the telepathy club wanted to meet aliens. Did I mention there were aliens? Teru got his moment, cementing himself back as my favorite character in the show. You know what? Get your ass back up there, boy. Mob finally got to ask out Shibome, and yeah, she said no, but I actually really liked that as the resolution to this arc. Even if him crying almost... Fuck. Everything in life isn't perfect. I didn't want to have a happy storybook ending. It's cool that the author wanted to make a point that rejection is a part of life. Just play some Take Care Mob, you'll be alright, trust me. And him laughing for the first time in the entire show as the final shot that the anime ends off on is on par with Steven from Steven Universe hugging himself in the final episode of both shows. And with that, I'm giving the entire series of Mob Psycho 100 a 9.5 out of 10. Every single season, my grandkids will see this show, trust me. And to be honest, woman's intuition should have told her that Mob wanted to meet up to confess to her. So you're telling me she deadass waited all that time through a damn level 10 hurricane and said, nah, I have to let this man know I don't like him like that. She knew what was up for real, and they still talk on the phone and stuff. Mob got hold. Period.
Did you tell me this was over? There ain't no use talking it over. Yeah, why didn't you try to tell me sooner?